With Endgame about to set the box office on fire, it seemed like the perfect time to share my picks for the 10 movies I'm most excited for in summer 2019. Hi, my name is Sean and I love to talk about movies way too much. With that in mind, go ahead and join me down below in the comment section. Share your picks for the 10 movies you are most excited for in summer 2019. You can use whatever definition you want for what constitutes summer 2019. For me, I define it as the first big blockbuster of the blockbuster season until the last big release in August before kids go back to school. So for me, that's probably going to be Endgame to Hobbs and Shaw. That's what it looks like for me. You can use whatever definition you want. Also, before we get started, people constantly ask me where I get my posters, my Funkos, and what gear I use for my videos. There's a link down below in the description that has a list of what I have and links to where you can get it as well. With that said, let's get started with some honorable mentions of some smaller releases. First up, Midsommar. This is a film from the director of Hereditary from last year. Now, I wasn't totally insane for Hereditary, but it was interesting, so this movie has caught my attention, and I'd love to see what this director is going to do next. Then we've got Yesterday. This is a musical comedy from Danny Boyle. It's kind of one of these high-concept films about a guy that bumps his head, wakes up, and the universe doesn't know who the Beatles are, and so he becomes a famous musician using Beatles songs. The trailer was charming enough, so I'm very interested. Then we've got Stuber, an action comedy from Mr. Dave Bautista and Kumail Nanjiani. This could be a generic action comedy. Then again, it could be a lot of fun. It's from the director of Goon, so his stuff normally has some bite to it. Next up, here's some big releases that I'm not very excited about, but I thought I should mention and discuss briefly in here. First off, X-Men Dark Phoenix. I actually really like X-Men First Class, but somehow this franchise has overstayed its welcome, and with the Disney-Fox merger, it doesn't seem like there's any future here. The trailers haven't excited me, so I'm not feeling this one at all. Next up, Aladdin. As much as the original is a classic, this just does not seem very inspired. I think Will Smith's actually a pretty good pick to play the genie, but everything else about this does not look good to me. I don't think Guy Ritchie is a particularly good fit. The trailers thus far haven't sold me on the rest of the cast outside of Will Smith, and I do not like the look of it with how bright everything is, so this one is not exciting me. Then we've got RocketMan. I just don't have any particular strong feelings about this one. I'll go see it. Hopefully I'll be pleasantly surprised, but just kind of on the basic premise of kind of a biopic about Elton John, that's not something that specifically interests me in particular. The trailers have been totally fine though. And then Secret Life of Pets 2. I wasn't a huge fan of the original. I've kind of watched it with my kids. Illumination in general, I'm not as crazy about as some people are. It feels a little bit placed to the lowest common denominator, and so cute animals feels lowest common denominator. I'm sure my kids will love it. I'm gonna go see it, but it's not one that I'm particularly excited about. With that said, let's get started with my actual top 10. Kicking things off is gonna be Godzilla, King of Monsters. The third movie in this monster shared universe has a fantastic cast, and it looks to be promising. Big action and all kinds of monsters from the Godzilla universe. Now, this universe hasn't really found its stride quite yet. The first Godzilla had some great elements to it, but it seemed like it kept teasing action and then cutting away whenever things were about to get juicy until the last 10 minutes. Kong Skull Island delivered on all the action. Once again, had a great cast. I thought it had a really nice aesthetic, but the story itself seemed to fall really flat for a movie that only needed a very straightforward sort of story. But they've teased just enough that I haven't given up on this franchise at all, so I'm still very excited to see what Kyle Chandler and Millie Bobby Brown are going to do in this Godzilla universe, especially with this many monsters being promised to be on screen, duking it out to see who the king is. Coming in at number 9 is Child's Play. I know this one is very divisive amongst the horror crowd. Some people thinking they just shouldn't be touching it at all and doing a remake. It's just unnecessary. Other people offended that Don Mancini's not coming back. But for me, it's been 30 years. The previous franchise got, I believe, 7 films, and some of them are pretty sketchy. So I feel a remake feels about right at this point in time. So I'm okay with it just on principle. And then as soon as they announced Mark Hamill was actually going to be voicing Chucky, my interest level kind of shot up a great bit. I didn't think I was going to care who they were going to cast as Chucky. As soon as it was Mark Hamill, who's a fantastic voice actor, I was all in on this one. At number 8 is Detective Pikachu. Now, this movie was not on my radar at all a year ago. I've never watched Pokemon. I've never traded the cards. I don't really know anything about Pokemon. And then I started hearing murmurs about this film, and Ryan Reynolds was cast, so I was kind of interested just a little bit. Then about 6 months ago, both of my kids went all in on Pokemon. Just a couple days ago, I bought my son an enormous stack of Pokemon cards for his birthday. And so Pokemon has now become this big part of my life with my kids. So I'm very excited to check this one out, hopefully with my kids, and it can be a nice, fun family adventure. Add to that, the trailers look like some goofy fun that I think I'm gonna have a blast with. So I'm very excited for this one, actually. Speaking of movies I can check out with my kids, number 7, Brightburn. I won't be taking my kids to go see the movie Brightburn. If you're not familiar with what this film is, essentially think of the Superman origin mythology, except Clark Kent is evil, and it's a horror movie from the Gunn family. The script was written by James Gunn's brother and cousin, and James Gunn himself is one of the producers on the film. I loved the trailer for this movie. I hadn't seen the first one, and then the second one dropped, and I checked it out, and I fell in love instantly. So naturally, I'm very excited to check this one out. Coming in at number 6, Hobbs and Shaw. I like to refer to these as Taco Bell movies. We all have junk food that we like, things that we know that's not good for us, but we enjoy it anyway, and we eat it all the time. With my family, that's Taco Bell. The Taco Bell where we live in particular, it's not very good. My tacos are always soggy, yet we still eat there every single week. And we also have junk food movies that we all like to watch. And for me, that's the Fast and the Furious franchise. I cannot defend the absurdity of this franchise, the stupidity of this franchise, but this last little run that they've done since Fast 5, I have loved them. They're insanely stupid and so much fun. And it looks like they're about to give us their dumbest, their junkiest, their fast foodest Fast and Furious movie yet. Hobbs and Shaw, where they take Jason Statham and The Rock, cram them together to movie, turn them into super spies for some reason. I'm pretty sure this is going to be the stupidest movie of the entire summer, and very entertaining. Real quick, some honorable mentions. First off, Shaft. I'm actually really excited about this one for some reason. It looks probably pretty generic and just light action comedy that doesn't fit in line with the tone of the original Shaft at all. But ever since Captain Marvel, I've been in a bit of a Samuel L. Jackson mood, and so I am all on board on this one. Next up, Men in Black International. Now, the first trailer for this one didn't fully sell me on the entire thing, but the general idea of the Men in Black franchise, there's so much comedic and fun sci-fi potential here. Add to that Chris Hemsworth, who I think is really funny. I like that they're throwing Liam Neeson into the mix. There's a bunch of things here that I'm very excited for, especially even our Thor Ragnarok reunion inside of it. Then we've got Toy Story 4. I know a lot of you are going to have Toy Story 4 in your top 10 most anticipated of the summer. As I've mentioned, and every time I've talked about Toy Story 4, I am nervous that they're doing a fourth one. The trailers didn't sell me. It seemed like it's rehashing plot points from a couple of the previous movies. Seems like it's pretty predictable where they're going with it, but it's still Pixar, so I'm still excited for it. I want to be won over. Of course, I'm gonna take my kids to go see it, but of all the things Pixar could have done, I wish they had done any of those other things rather than another trip to the toy chest. So I'm only kind of excited for it. And then Annabelle Comes Home. Now, I haven't been crazy about most of the Conjuring spin-off movies, but this one is tying back to the actual Warren family, and it's sort of a continuation of the Conjuring movies more directly because it's about their family. So our lead characters are like side characters, and I guess their kids are the lead. That's very interesting to me. James Wan has co-story credit on this one, so that's a number of things that have me very excited for this one. And number 5, John Wick Parabellum. The John Wick franchise kind of came out of nowhere and skyrocketed itself to being the premier straight-up action franchise of our time. The plot lines are very straightforward, but the world building and fight choreography are excellent and just put it above the rest of the genre. This movie promises to be the big slam bang finale to the trilogy. As a lover of action movies, of course, I'm dying to see this movie. Number 4, Spider-Man Far From Home. I love Spider-Man, I love the MCU, and I really want to know what's going to be going on in the MCU after Endgame. Add to all of this, this is an MCU film that I can take my kids to go see, and so of course, this is one that I am excited for. With all that said, I thought the first trailer fell a little bit flat. A lot of that's probably because it's weird to put out a trailer for a Spider-Man movie while Spider-Man is still dust, and so you can only show so much inside of it. Still, it's a Spider-Man movie, so I'm pumped. Real quick before I give you my top 3, remember to share your picks down below in the comment section. Also remember, down below in the description is a link where you can find out where I get my posters, my Funkos, and what gear I use. And after this video, check out this video up above where I give my picks for the 5 best and the 5 worst movies of 2019 thus far. In third place is The Lion King. This is my nostalgia pick for this list. On paper, I have no clue why they're remaking The Lion King live action, doing a shot-for-shot remake just 25 years after the original came out. Besides wanting to print money for themselves. There's so many reasons I should be cynical about them doing such an obvious cash grab. I'm cynical about them doing Aladdin, but this one, being that it's my favorite animated film of all time, the nostalgia is winning me over, and I can't help but be very excited for this one. Our runner-up is Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. It's Tarantino. The cast is fantastic. The trailers were classic Tarantino. I'm sold, and yes, I will be ranking all of the Tarantino movies after this one comes out. But my most anticipated film of the season is Dora and the Lost City of Gold. This looks to be the best big Indiana Jones style adventure since Raiders of the Lost Ark. It's just classic, fun entertainment. Just kidding. I haven't even watched the trailer for this movie. I'm not the target demographic. But my most anticipated film of the season is, of course, Avengers Endgame. Over the last few months, I've put out countless videos with my theories, predictions, death predictions, trailer reactions, trailer breakdowns, anything I can to talk about this movie that I'm so excited about. And I'm seeing it tomorrow. I think the MCU is the coolest thing going on in movies right now. I love that we have a cohesive, shared universe with this many franchises and characters all coming together, and this movie is the peak of all of it. So for 7,832 reasons that are very obvious, this is my number 1 most anticipated film of the season. Remember to check out that video right over there with my picks for the best and worst of 2019 thus far. You can check out the information on my gear down below in the comment section. Thank you so much for watching, and keep talking movies too much. Where you can find out about my posters, my Funkos, and my gear. And after this video, check out this video up above where I got